Welcome to the Impact and Influence Show. I'm your host, Rob Harter. Here we are outside of City Hall in Park City. And the reason we're here is I want to give you an inside view, if you will, of City Hall. In fact, along the way, we're going to introduce you to the mayor of Park City, Andy Beerman. Many of you know this show is all about introducing you to people and organizations that are really trying to make a difference in their community. And Andy Beerman, I believe, is one of those people. You know, he's been a city council member for many years. He's also a local business owner, and now he's the mayor. And what we're going to do is just ask him a few questions about what are his challenges? What is he facing now as the mayor of Park City? What are some of his dreams, his plans for the future? And along the way, we're going to get a kind of inside view of what it's like to be mayor here in Park City. Now, my guess is as you see this iconic building, maybe many of you have never been here before, or maybe you have, but you've been to the city council chambers, or we're going to go there as well. But here, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to introduce you to Andy Beerman and bring you inside of City Hall. Welcome to CCPC Highlights, episode 45. My name is Rob Harter, and today is a special day at the Christian Center because we're welcoming a delegation from France that's here in Park City for the week. Courchevel, France is the sister city to Park City, and they have 6 delegates from Courchevel that are here to tour various places in Park City. Well, we invited them to come here to the Christian Center because of the common issues of seasonal workers and housing, and what do you do with those who come for the season, plus those who are just struggling to make ends meet throughout the year. So we're very excited to have them here, and we're going to give them a tour today. The Christian Center started in 2000, so 2 years before the Olympics. Jim and Susan Schwartz were the founders of this. They really wanted to invest back into Park City, and they said, we want to do something, even though we're not here all the time, to make this community a better place. They wanted to start an organization that brought the entire community together, and even all other nonprofits, government agencies, to come together to meet the needs of this community. This is the place where we have all the wonderful things like Gucci bags and Prada boots and Armani suits, and it's a way to have some self-generated revenue for all of our other programs. So it's a great place to shop, it goes to a good cause, and it's a great deal for you. We're asking about where the food comes from. So every day, Monday through Saturday, we pick up from 8 area grocery stores. Last year, we gave 1.7 million meals away. We don't ask for income statements, no. Another thing is we work with seniors and veterans that don't have a lot of money, about 2,500 people that come through here in a given month. So this is our thrift store, as you can see. So everything is, $1 or $2, very cheap. Cups, mugs, so all kinds of wonderful things in here. So here we are outside of the mayor's office. As I said, this is kind of an inside tour, a behind the scenes tour, if you will, of the mayor's office. And we're gonna come and introduce Andy Beerman to you. Come on in.
Hey, Rob.
There he is now, all right.
How you doing? Man. Good to see you, man.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Good to be in. This is where it all happens.
Have you been in here before with me?
This is the first time.
Outstanding.
To see you. Yeah, this is
welcome.
Wonderful. What a great setup. And yeah, you get to have all kinds of people come in.
I do.
Probably heads of state even?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. We're going to change that maybe, huh?
Yeah.
But I'm glad, so maybe we can sit over here.
Yeah, have a seat. Let's sit at the table.
I thought for my listeners again, what I like to do is...
Have you seen the view?
The view is incredible.
I mean, is this awesome?
That
Looking
is
out
so
on
nice.
Treasure Hill there in
Really?
Old Town.
Yeah, that is so, incredible. Park City is such a wonderful place, and so, for those who maybe never come here, my guess is if they come to City Hall, again, they'll come to the City Council chambers maybe,
Yep.
or maybe they get something for an official tax notice or something, but they don't come into your office. So first, maybe you could talk about what is it like to be the mayor of Park City? What's your day like? What's your week like?
It's varied. It's really hard to put it in a box because every week is different. I wasn't sure I sold my business to create enough time to do it, and I'm glad I did because I have no idea how I'd able to juggle both, or at least enjoy doing both.
Yeah. It's way more, way bigger of a job than you probably initially thought on paper.
Yeah, and I was a council member for 6 years, and that was an interesting role, and I interacted with the public a lot, I interacted with the staff, but when you're mayor, it's a little different. You have an office up at City Hall. We spend a lot of time talking with our residents, a lot of time talking with stakeholders in the community, just having general meetings, hearing their ideas, hearing their concerns. Spend a certain degree of time with staff trying to prepare for the council meetings. As mayor, your role is to facilitate those meetings, and that takes a lot of prep. I find the job for me, the meeting's usually the easy part. It's getting ready for that the work goes in. And so I spend more time looking at staff reports and working with the city manager on agendas and such. And then in the mayor's role, you end up being the negotiator. Or at least at the negotiation table with a team. And so that's something that takes up a surprising amount of time, particularly we have a lot of land deals going on and a lot of big stuff.
What has been, I know you haven't been here even quite a full year, what's been the biggest surprise so far as being the mayor?
Biggest surprise? How much the public wants to talk with you. They want to share their ideas, they want to share your concerns.
Do you think it's because it's a small town, they feel like you're accessible, or is that just because it's Park City and people are really interested?
I try really hard to make myself accessible, so I hope they do feel that way.
Yeah.
But as a council member, I was used to getting a lot of calls, a lot of emails, but I spend easily 2 to 3 hours a day responding to phone calls and emails.
Wow.
That's a big part of the job, and I anticipated that, but not to the degree it is.
Okay.
You're treated differently than when you're on council, and expectations are a little bit different, and I really don't want to disappoint. So I've been trying hard to be receptive and available.
Well, you know, it's interesting, you're here now as mayor, you were 6 years as city council member, you had your own business before, and I know you love to get outdoors and enjoy why we live in Park City. What motivated you? Like, what was the inner motivation for you to want to run, first of all, for city council, and now, of course, to run for mayor and serve as mayor?
It's a good question. My first career was an outdoor educator, and I've always been an environmental activist, and that was what's kind of near and dear to my heart. And then I fell down a track of small businesses, running small businesses for about 25 years, and I enjoyed that. I tried to bring my values to my business and set a good example with both how we treat our employees, how we treat the environment, our business practices, but you didn't really feel like you're moving the needle in the world. So as my business got mature and it needed me less, I started getting more involved in the community, started attending more city meetings, and sort of one thing leads to another. You take little baby steps, and next thing you know, you're running for office and trying to make a difference. And for mayor, I was really enjoying what was happening on council. I wanted to make sure it kept moving forward, and you can help do that from the mayor's role. But probably the biggest difference about the mayor's role is you get to set a tone for your town. You get to put out, you know, a vibe for your town and be aspirational. And that was something I really wanted to do. And so I've tried to embrace that role. I'm still trying to figure out my tools, but I started out at my swearing in. I talked about the need to focus on optimism, inclusion, and gratitude. Those 3 themes. And that's something I've been trying to have that conversation with the community.
So far so good with those.
Oh, I'm having a blast. I love the job.
Good. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to City Council chambers, because again, a lot of people maybe are familiar with the chamber area and where there's open public meetings, of course, and where you have City Council meetings. So I'd love maybe take us through the hallways, and we're going to go. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Actually, hold the station right there. We'll be right back. More with Andy Beerman.
People who work here have a real heart of compassion for those who are underserved, and they want to see those holes where their needs are not being met. We really do seek to use all of the resources that we get, which we get from a very generous community of donors, and then find ways to use all of that to serve people and make sure that their needs are being met and they can have happy, healthy lives.
You just see it as a richer community where you have more things to provide for all people.
It is the staple of the community by representing their needs for food, their needs for clothing, their needs for counseling.
It's a very dynamic place. It attracts a volunteer who really likes a lot of social interaction, who really likes a dynamic environment. It's definitely the kind of a gig for someone who has a little bit of energy and they like to give it away during their day.
It's very positive, it's uplifting. Every human being, anybody, needs a hand and needs a good support system that they feel like they can go to for help. And I really believe at the Christian Center, it's really a place that anybody can go and get a hand.
I think when you see the happiness that you can provide for other people who are in need at that time, it blesses you. People who like to give to others, they're happier people. I love seeing just the times when people come in and you hear their stories. Stories are rich in our heart, and they're going to stick with us, and those are plentiful here.
I think it's just good for the soul. It's good for yourself to get out there and give a hand out and help others, because everybody's having a struggle here and there in life, and so as long as you can give back and slowly help out, I think it all adds up.
We're always taking new volunteers, and as we grow, we need even more regular, dedicated volunteers. Contact me via email. It's jessica@ccofpc.org, or they can just go to our website, which is ccofpc.org, and there's a volunteer application there.
Call up Jessica at the Park City Christian Center and start volunteering today.
Welcome back to the Impact and Influence Show. Here we are with Mayor Andy Beerman, and Andy's going to give us a little history lesson. There's a lot of history of the city, and of specifically this building. So talk a little bit about the building.
Yeah, this building's perfect for us. We live in a town that we really prioritize and value our historic character. This building was built in 1935. It was part of the New Deal project. I think there were dozens of projects across Utah that were built, and this was a school. And it operated as a school until I think 1979.
Oh, wow.
And in '83, the city bought it as an empty building, have been headquartered here ever since. And as we've expanded over the years, we've sort of spaced out, but we did a major renovation in 2008 to make it more energy efficient. And it's an outstanding home for us. A place with a lot of character, great perch over Main Street, so employees can go out and hit the street, go for bike rides, go skiing. But I think it says a lot about us as a town that we want to occupy a historic building with all this history.
I think it's an interesting combination where you're trying to be cutting edge as a city in many ways and with environmental sensitivity, but also you're using, a building that's been here for a long time. So you really seek that as kind of a metaphor, I think, for a lot of what you're trying to do here at Park City.
Yeah, it's a great mix. And if you go up on Sweeney's and look down on this, you'll see the beautiful historic building covered in solar panels on top.
There you go. Yeah. I love that. That's perfect. All right, so we're going to go back to the City Council chambers, talk a little bit more about what goes on there. That's my guess is a lot of you that if you do come to City Hall, that's where you end up, as the City Council chambers. So let's go in there. So here we are, we're walking through on our way to the City Council chambers, but along the way, Andy pointed this out, and I thought this is so impressive, because one of the questions I was going to ask him was about core values, top priorities, and of course, critical priorities. And you had this great retreat, multiple retreats actually. Maybe talk a little bit about the critical priorities that you see for this city.
Certainly, Rob. These are things that we've been working on for the last couple of years. We decided that if we really wanted to move the needle in some areas, we need to make them critical priorities. And the way we define those are, if we don't take action in this particular area in our community with force and do it soon, it could change forever. And so we've had three critical priorities the last several years, which are transportation, housing, and energy. And we've made great progress in all those. And I can talk probably longer than you have about what we've done. I love it. But I am excited about our addition this year. Okay. And this came from the community, but there's been a request for us to take a harder look at social equity. As our community has seen great successes in the last number of years, the disparity has grown between the haves and have-nots in our community. And I think we're seeing some trends nationally that concern us here locally, and we feel like there are a lot of underserved in our community. And that's something not just the city, but the entire community needs to address. And as I talked about being mayor setting the tone, as a city, we also can set the tone.
Right.
And this is something that you know a lot about. You've done a tremendous amount of good work on social equity, but it's a new frontier for us.
Right. Well, and I love this because, with the nonprofit that I lead, this is where we overlap with the government agency, and I think in the nonprofit world, when government agencies and nonprofits are working together, that's a really good place. And so talk a little bit more about social equity. How do you define that? What are you trying to do to address that?
Oh man,
This may take a while.
Yeah, it's really about our residents feeling respected, welcome, and valued at the end of the day. And our goal is to be a complete community. And what do we mean by that? It's sort of a self-sufficient town that it's diverse, it's healthy, it has the businesses in the town, it has schools in town, but most importantly, it has people. And it has diversity among those people. We have young folks, we have old folks, we have ethnic diversity within our community. And we are able to accommodate a variety of socioeconomic groups. And everyone is respected and involved. And that is our goal. As far as it's been interesting because the city has made it a critical priority, and I have to explain to folks that doesn't mean the city owns it. It doesn't mean we're taking charge and we're going to make everything right in the world. What it means is we can act as a convener, and we can reach out to our nonprofits and our citizens and help bring everybody together to focus on this and make it a real community issue.
Well, I think it's a great focus. And again, obviously I'm a little biased from the nonprofit I come to, but I know across the community, they really feel this way. So now this is the challenge. You've got 4 critical priorities. How do you balance them? Like, how do you not keep one from like popping up being the primary focus? How do you balance these 4?
Day to day, I don't think we do. Sometimes, there are times like during Sundays, we're really focused on transportation. I mean, I think all 3 of them have staff dedicated to them. They have specific goals and metrics we've set up, and we're working on strategic plans for some of them already have them. Social equity, we're currently working on them. Each year, like right now, we're going through our budget process, and we dedicate funding to those. And the funding, the way our budget works, our funding ties into our actual goals and values. The areas that make our critical priorities get the most funding. So we try to spread it out to the best of our ability, but I'm not sure at the end of the day we have to balance them because they work all well in concert. And if you look at these, I mean, housing and transportation and energy all tie into social equity. They're all elements.
They're all related.
And, when we're building a new housing project, we're making sure that's on our transportation networks. We're making sure that it's energy efficient and has solar panels. So there's a ton of cross-pollination between each of them. So they tie in nicely.
Okay, so say someone's watching the show, and they're a little skeptical towards politicians in general, or just the whole political process. What would you want them to know about you, and then specifically this process, that would maybe win them over?
Wow. First of all, I don't like to be called a politician. I prefer local government or elected official. And I think on a national level, they've made a bad name for politicians. And so that's difficult. But really, I'm an activist. First and foremost, I was an entrepreneur, I'm a concerned community member, and I'm taking my turn trying to help lead this community in a better direction. It's not something I'm doing as a career. I'm going to put in my time and I'm going to move on. I'm going to go back into business, or I'm going to go back into activism, or I'm going to take some time to do some travel. Hopefully a little bit of each. But it is, what I would say to them is I'm just like them.
Okay.
I'm somebody I'm from this community. I've come up through this community. I'm skeptical of government as well. That's why I spend a lot of time up here. I think there's a lot of things we do right, but there's a lot of areas we can improve. And hopefully coming from a citizen standpoint, I can help that process.
Okay, we have to pause real quick. We're going to take a quick break. Keep it right there at Park City Television. We're going to come back and ask them a few more questions along those lines.
I believe in the values of the organization. So the first time I came here in Park City, I was looking for housing. I was needing some help, and I was directed to the Christian Center. So that was my first exposure to the Christian Center. And it amazes me every time I come here and how much people they help. Everybody can come into the store. Anything that they need, anything that they're looking for, whether it's a necessity, it's something they need for their everyday life, they're looking for a treasure, just come to our store. We're here to help them. Even if they just need a hug or somebody to talk to, it makes me happy, it makes me smile, end of the day.
Welcome back to the Impact and Influence Show. So here we are in council chambers right here at Park City, and we're going to kind of come around to your seat where you normally kind of lead the meetings. Is right here. You can see his nameplate's up here, but I thought what would be fun is I'm going to sit in this chair so I can fill in the shoes of Andy for 15 seconds. How about
Rob,
okay,
please.
2 minutes. All right, thank you. This is great. So
Take your turn like the rest of us.
Exactly.
You could be sitting there someday soon.
You never know, I guess, huh? So here we are. So this is where a lot of the action happens. So Andy, we started with right before the break. We talked about what people maybe should know about you, and you don't really see yourself as a politician. You really see as a citizen who's really trying to make a difference. So maybe talk now. What are some of the issues you're facing right now? What are some of those big challenges that you have that you would like the public to know that you're really trying to either champion or fight for in a good way? What are some of those big challenges you're trying to address in your role as a mayor?
Well, we talked about our critical priorities, but I think all those, ironically, we're kind of a victim of our success as a town. We've done a lot of things right, which brings a lot of people to this town, and we're facing what you might call over-tourism. That's a term that's been coined in a lot of resort towns where the residents are feeling like they're being eclipsed by all the visitors. So the very success of people coming to your town that's driving your economy is making people feel less welcome in their own home, and sometimes even making their towns feel unrecognizable to them. And that causes a lot of stress. And so we spend a lot of time, we really don't want to kill the golden goose. We don't want to shut off tourism or tell people they're not welcome here, but we are trying to figure out how to mitigate. And that's why we're getting very aggressive on traffic in particular. We're trying to figure out how to build a town where you don't need a car. We're very concerned about keeping our natural environment healthy here. As we build and grow, we want to keep our air quality good, our water quality, and certainly preserve our snow. And we also want to keep people living in town. It's not a real town if no one lives here, and that's why we focused on issues like affordable housing. How do we keep our essential service workers in town? We think it's critical that your teachers and your cops and your city employees, county employees, those kind of people, nonprofit heads, that they live in town because they are your community influencers and they're going to be your next leaders. Once they find time in their lives, they're going to step up, and if they're not here, we're just going to become very homogenous, very old, and eventually lose our sense of community.
I like that. And I know you ran on some really key themes. As you think about the dreams and plans you have for the future, I know that's difficult sometimes because you got to work with a team at City Council and with the public. But what are some of your dreams? What are your, like, say 2 years from now, 5 years from now, maybe even 10 years from now? What would you like to see besides the Olympics coming back to Salt Lake and Park City? That would be fantastic. But what are some of the other dreams and visions that you have for this city?
Yeah, the Olympics could be a fun one. Certainly one of my passions, I would like to see us run off 100% renewable energy. We are well down that path. I think within the next 3 years, all municipal operations will be run off of a renewable utility being designed right now. Yep.
That's impressive.
And we're hoping about a decade out, we'll have the entire community running off of renewable energy. And we're planning to electrify our fleet. We've started out with our first 6 buses. We have 7 more coming. Before long, you'll start seeing plows and vans and other vehicles being electrified. I also, coming back to wanting to be that complete community. My vision for Park City is to hold on to what we were. We're all nostalgic. Every one of us, when we get to town, we take a Polaroid and we say, that was our best day ever. You know,
Right, yep.
and forevermore, each time the town changes, we feel like we lose a little bit of ourselves, a little bit of who we are. I want to keep Park City looking familiar. I want it to feel like a real community, a place that's vibrant and where we live. That doesn't mean it won't evolve. It is going to change, and it's never going to look like that Polaroid, but in our heart, I want it to feel like that Polaroid.
Well, I love this. I wish we had more time to keep going through more questions. But for my listeners, if they want to find a little bit more about you, about City Council, some of the critical priorities, where would you send them? Do you send them here to an online site? What would you tell them to do to get more information?
We're pretty accessible. If they want to meet with me, they can always come up to City Hall and make an appointment. My email's easy. It's andy@parkcity.org. I'm in the phone book as well, and we'll take calls anytime. I'm happy to meet with any citizens that want to either get to know me, talk about something, or have a concern. You can go to the city website, which is, again, parkcity.org, and you can get information about all of our upcoming meetings, events that we're involved in. You can also sign up for what's called e-Notify, and you can choose from a list of 40 different things. And anytime one of those comes up either on one of our council agendas at a planning commission or as a community activity you might be interested in, you can sign up for those and you'll get email alerts.
Fantastic. Well, I encourage you to come by, come see Andy, set up an appointment, or go online, find out more information. He really is the real deal. He's not your typical politician. He's just someone who's really trying to make a difference. Thanks so much for watching. We're going to take one more quick break, and we'll be right back.
Thanks, Rob. we do need to sort of come back to our center, which is we should be grateful to live here. It's an incredible place, and despite all these impacts that we're trying to address and we need to address to keep it a great place, we still live better lives than 99% of the people out there. And so we need to be grateful, we need to be kind, and we need to embody the change we want to be and slow down, smile. Charlie Sturgis talks about 10 seconds of kindness on the trail. When you pass somebody, take time, get off your bike, greet them, pet their dog, whatever it takes, but be communal. I think we need to embrace that in all aspects of our life. We need to drive better, we need to share the sidewalks, we need to greet people in the stores. And remember that the beauty of being a small town is knowing your neighbors and having a happy community, and that's something we need to come back to and not forget in spite of all these, in the face of all these changes that are happening to our town. Because if we lose who we are, it won't matter what we protect with the town.
That's really well said. Do you think there'll ever be a time when everybody who visits Park City checks their car at Kimball Junction or Quinn's Junction, and we are almost a self-sustaining, non-car based town, especially, of course, living in Old Town? I think very much about what our traffic is like now. Is that, and of course I'm being a little looking into the long view, but is that a possibility for us?
It's a great question, and certainly there are European towns like Vermont where you see that work very effectively, but those towns were built before there were cars, so they work better for that. My goal for Park City for a long time has been to build a town where you don't need a car, which is different than a carless town. But people can vacation here, they can work here, they can live here, and not have to have a car unless they want one. And I think we can do that. We can put in both traditional transit systems, some creative new systems, and some ones that maybe some gondolas or connections around town that serve as transit benefits, but also people view as entertainment. They view as fun and a good way to get around.
Absolutely.
Well, I really hope you enjoyed this kind of behind-the-scenes tour of City Hall and meeting Andy Beerman, the mayor. He's just a great guy. I think what you see on TV is really what you get in real life and in person. This has been a really fun thing for me as well, so I encourage you to stop by. As he said, come meet with him, go online, you can set up an appointment and find out a little bit more about what drives this city and what drives our mayor. Well, that's all for today. Remember, Park City Television, Friday mornings, the Impact and Influence Show. We really encourage you to tune in. You can always go online as well. But until next time, keep making your world better.